Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack. Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
With another week closer to the NASCAR season, we figured we'd have some more conversations, continue the excitement, the anticipation. We still have to talk about Bowman Gray maybe happening, Ryan. But we got Ryan Stevens from Win the Race to show us some awesome tools. Obviously, we're proud to be partnering with Win the Race once again this season. Amazing tools, amazing not only for DFS, for betting, but now they're introducing some cool games too. So we figured we'd have them on. We could show off some of the cool stuff and hopefully help you guys not only cut down on some of that prep time, but increase the efficiency and the likelihood that you're cashing in DFS, that you are winning money at the sports books, and hopefully not getting your accounts shadow banned in the process. But Brian, we are happy to be joined by Ryan Stevens from Win the Race. Ryan, how's your off season going?
Going great. Did a lot of work on the website. Like Greg messaged me the other day and he's just like, man, you kicked the shit out of this website this offseason. I was like, well, I don't know, man. I kind of wanted to change the direction When the Race was going in and just not be like, it's not like I don't want it to be a tout site where you just come and you get picks and you leave. I want people to be able to dive into the numbers and do what they feel is best, but then have the community part of it in the Discord to bounce ideas off of. And of course, we put our plays in there. You guys do, I do. Everyone, is saying what they're thinking, and it's just good conversation. So I basically wanted to build, like when I started Win the Race 4 years ago, I had an idea and didn't know how to do it, but I wanted to create a site that would have everything that I actually wanted to use for everything that we do. And now I think I finally got there. So I'm pumped to kind of show them all off and hopefully you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah. And like we talked to Phil last week, obviously from the draft show with Ryan, but we were talking about like the improvements and the new tools and the new stuff. And like it would have been fine if you just like, this site works great. You can figure out what you need. You can get the information and kind of just sat on it and been like, this is completely functional. But the fact that you're willing to like take chances and keep building on it and keep making a better experience for all the users. And as Brian hits on literally every time we talk, the Discord is the place to be. The smart people in there, the information, the stuff's dropping. People are hollering, hey, I found this line here. I found that line there. Here's an opportunity to take advantage of it. Here's what I'm thinking over on DraftKings. Am I overweight on this guy? Am I underweight on this guy? All that good stuff. So Brian, it's just like, what's this, our third year in Win the Race, and just loving every minute of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, from the get-go of us joining Win the Race before we partnered with Ryan and Greg, I could tell right away that it was something that was going to be paramount to what we were doing in the space in terms of creating content on one side, and then also myself personally by betting the sport, like just all the tools. And of course, as you said, the Discord alone, I say that every single time, is worth the price of entry, because one of the most important things in this space that I think is really apparent in this Discord in particular is that we're not here to tout ourselves as winners. We're here to try to get everybody to win. And whether that's bouncing ideas off of each other or helping each other to handicap a race, that's just what goes on in the Discord, just some of it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
that's kind of how we want it to be, is like, we want it to be fun. It's like
100%.
It's like a lot of times in all these spaces, not just NASCAR, if you go in like the NFL space or things like that, it's too many like us versus them type of thing. And so you'll see even on our show this year on the draft every Wednesday night, I think for probably about a third of the shows, we're going to have different people on that are in our same space. I don't care that they're trying to sell a similar product or something about NASCAR. I fully believe, and that's why our prices are where they are, that you should have more than one tool at your disposal. So if you're on Win the Race, it doesn't mean you can't go sign up for iFantasy Race or anything like that. Like, you should be able to go do multiple things. And, that's the beauty of it. So see what correlates, see what, who agrees or disagrees, and kind of make your own decisions from there with their tools, our tools, anyone's tools, and go from there. So I kind of want it to be more of a fun experience for everybody.
Yeah. And it's
so I brought
cool
the games in too.
Yeah, and it's cool to get direct access to you, to so many smart people in the community. And we all, like Brian said, we all get better, we all get smarter together. And I'll throw up your screen and we can go through some of the stuff. And you can use these tools for the atop the pit box game. You can use these tools for grid rival, for underdog, for obviously building DFS and betting, but like so many different things, season long contests. Like there's so many opportunities to find an edge, to find an advantage, however you're getting excited. And like I said, the Discord, you can talk to people who are NASCAR sickos like you about tire packages and about downforce, and there's smart people in there that have a little more information than maybe Brian and I, and we lean on them to get that information. So that yeah, I'll let you should we start with the games? You want to start with the models? Like what do you want to start with?
Well, probably like just because you were talking about it, I guess we'll start. I'll click on tools, custom models here, and it's just our enhanced loop data because this is kind of, what you're saying. Go in, do your research, build your models, see what pops compared to even if you're on another site, whatever you're doing, if you're looking at driver averages still, nowadays or racing reference or whatever you want to look at. But we've kind of narrowed it down to, the years of Gen 7. So we start in 2022 and then we go on from there. But this is cool because it has some more enhanced data. One thing I sorted it by is, like a lot of times results aren't indicative of how a guy ran in a NASCAR race. So we put where they ran, where they finished. So in any given race, you can just compare that side by side. But there's almost like too much here to do. It'd be a long video.
Let me just point out real quick too. I think having the true performance number is like just takes this data and this model to the next level, because as you were alluding to, just because somebody finished, top 5, or maybe they had an average running position of like 9th, that's not necessarily indicative of how well their day actually went, because maybe they just started there and they just kind of rode around all day and they made no passes. They actually got past. So having the true performance rank for me is awesome.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and
especially
it's
when we're talking about drafting tracks where carnage is going to happen. You're going to see somebody who is putting themselves in position, and maybe the last couple times they've been there, they've been in the front 95% of the time, and for one reason or another, they blew a tire, they had an issue with their steering, they had an issue with power. Like it just weird stuff happens. You obviously got 4 tires, you got weird stuff, engines, but you can go, okay, traditionally here, they're gonna pop one of these times and they're gonna get that win, and I can get on board. Or I can say, this guy is traditionally somebody who rides between 15 and 25th 90% of the time. Most of his results go there, but there's chances here where they were top 5, and you don't fall for that 6100 guy that's not actually that good at that track.
Yeah, I mean if we just pull up because we got it coming up anyway, so I might as well just pull up Daytona here and we can look at Daytona together. One cool thing too is that I have this split averages toggle here. It's going to do it by car, So like Kyle Busch is now strictly Joe Gibbs Racing. So the people that switched teams, like you're going to want to look at like Chase Briscoe in particular, what he did last year in the 19, things like that. You're going to want to use that and look at it, but for Daytona, I mean, really, you can kind of just see you click that. Now it'll just put them all together. So, and one cool thing too is like we have Kurt Busch here with one race. He's not even racing anymore. So we've had 8 races at Daytona. You go to min races in the sample. So we want people who have raced at least in 4 of those races at Daytona in that period. Just punch that in, hit update, and there you go. But like you were saying, if we want to get down to it, you can look at who's running in the top 10 and who actually finished in the top 10. So we just get rid of everything. So, I mean, look at this. Like Joey Logano leads the way here in these 8 races. Almost 58% of his laps inside the top 10, 2 top 10 finishes. So you can see certain things like that are guys that they don't need to run up there to just survive. Bowman, great example there. 26% of his laps inside the top 10, but he's top 10ing half the time. So just, finding a way to survive. Then you have all these, shit boxes down here who can top 10. Just kind of shows you what we're dealing with Daytona. But that's kind of a cool way to look at it. You said guys can run up there all day and then not finish there. And also, if you look at if you were to just look at, wow, Carson Hocevar ran like all his laps inside the top 10 at Chicago Street last year. It's like, yeah, that's because he ran a couple laps and then like turned and wrecked everybody out, including himself. So like, it was not a good race. So you can't just look at that. You have to look at all these other things as well. And this kind of gives you the full picture. But
Yeah, and I
one cool
like that
thing,
you can dive into different parts. Like if you think you found an angle, you can get a little more aggressive and really like hunt down, or you can be like, this seems weird. Why is this the thing? And then you can go, oh, that's because when Josh Berry was riding in the 9, that number that is impacting here, or that because Carson Hocevar, like you said, wrecked everyone out and he actually wasn't in the top 10 that long. He was just there a couple laps. Well, that makes sense. Now I can kind of eliminate that part from my research, or that from my optimism, and kind of build lineups or make bets accordingly.
yep. And then, so one cool way to dive even further, like you're saying too, is this other tab up here. We have the driver averages tab, but we also have the race view. So you can click race view, and that's going to load every single one of those races, all 8 races, every driver and what they did, and you can still sort these stats by the same way. So if we were looking at Logano there, we'd be like, man, has he been any better lately or anything like that? And I know we're looking at Daytona, so it's, it is what it
Yeah.
is. But we can see what year, top 10 percentage, 4 or 5. I mean, it really doesn't matter for him. He just all his the most top 10 percentages, he has no top 10s in. So it's just some bad luck for Joey here.
So
But
what we're seeing is Joey's due in the next gen era at Daytona. That's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, or it's Daytona and Carnage is gonna happen. But it'll be awesome when we get to Vegas and to Phoenix. And you can also, when we're looking at as the weather changes, right? You can go to the spring versions of the races and go, okay, I'm actually looking at the spring Vegas race where weather is a little bit different than it is in the fall race. And how does
exactly.
this guy keep popping at one version of the race where in the other one it's gonna mess? Like if somebody's really good at the spring race and terrible at the fall race, their averages and stuff is all going to be kind of in the middle. But when you're thinking about an outright, you might be able to get a better number on somebody who is actually awesome in the spring and is a great value there, where if you bet them at that same number in the fall where they always stink, then you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. So being able to separate all that out and actually go into each race and like, or why did they have a bad race here? Oh, they had a drivetrain issue. They had tires come off. They had rotors that were exploding. Like there, you can kind of make the math make sense and kind of justify for someone that you're looking to get exposure to.
Yeah, and we have some of that stuff too. Like, so if I click the pit stops and penalty data here, it's right on there. There we go. So this is the same thing. Like, there's one average here of all the 4-tire stops, and then I also have this where you can look at it track by track. So you can see, who was fast. So this is another thing where you're like, man, what happened to him? It's like,
No.
well, maybe his pit crew sucked that day or something. Like, that could be one thing. Or you can go to penalties and, that has it by race too. So you're like, man, what happened to him in Atlanta? Oh, well, he had a equipment line violation, toward the end of the race. So, that's going to put him to the tail end of the field. So there's different things you can look at here and be like, just get a little more context of, oh, maybe that's why, things derailed in that race. Because I mean, it's like by the time we get to the end of the season, you guys know as well as I do, it's hard to remember these races inside and out without fully rewatching them.
Yeah.
And with a 3 and a 6-year-old, that ain't happening a lot of times.
No, but getting the race in on Sunday is a win, and trying to rewatch stuff is crazy. But yeah, adding the context and making it make sense is like such a nice component. And then being able to add, okay, yeah, he's been awesome at every race except for these 2. And he had a pass through penalty with 5 laps to go, and that's obviously why it ruined his day, or whatever the case may be. So I think being able to add that context is
Let me also add real quick about the pit stop data. I don't know if I reference this the most of anybody in the Discord, but I know I'm looking at this stuff pretty much every single day when I'm shopping lines leading into actual races that we're betting. Because like when we go to Martinsville, when we go to Darlington, when we're going to the 1.5s where green flag pit stops are going to matter. Like having that data is so important when you're looking at guys that are going to be there at the end and not F up, or guys who are going to F up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I
And
mean, we have all the championship drivers are in the top 10 here.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it does translate. Like these are the guys. And what I do too is I use actual pit time because I think that brings the driver's talent into it quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And I try to weed out all the noise too, which is why like you'll notice only used 24 races last year. We're not using him on, races that have, only one tire stops or option tires or super speedway races, stuff like that. So 24 that actually matter, and then inside of that try to weed out the noise and then come up with what we can here.
Yeah. I think I think these tools are super critical in making decisions and making bets and all that good stuff.
This is my guy I think is due, by the way. You said who's due? I think the 0 for 8 Todd Gilliland is due. I can just feel it. He hasn't been not like he's been great at Talladega. He has not been great here, but the boy can draft. So I don't know. I think he's due for the top 10. It's a good
Well, and
number.
I think that's also interesting is you can you can lump somebody into a bucket with drafting tracks, but if they're great at one and not so great at the other, you can kind of see the differences and know why their numbers don't really make sense. Because like if he's really good at Dega and awful at Daytona, or just bad things happen to him at Daytona, you can kind of figure that out too and know how to impact that. Brian,
That's why that's why I pulled this up here. So if saying what you're saying, pull up Talladega. Talladega is where he has some top 10s.
Yeah.
What does he have here? He's got four top 10s in the Talladega races.
Mhm.
So he's 50% hit right there. And that's when he's, he ran 5% in the top 10 in this race, just got one. That's why I think like these aren't dominant numbers. So I think just like the positive regression is here because he's running in the top 10. It's about the same everywhere. Talladega and Daytona. It mixes up all throughout the left side here. So I don't know. That'll be my call heading into Daytona.
I like it. And we can use it as a transition into the games because I'm obviously going to be playing in the one and done as a win the race member. Highly recommend everybody get in for the full season. You're going to have not only a ton of fun, but a ton of useful information. You're going to have smart people in the Discord to bounce ideas off of. And you can play fun games like the one and done and thinking through, okay, Todd Gilliland's finishes here haven't been great, and he's been better at Dega. Do I want to save him for Dega, or do I want to consider using him? Maybe he's a little bit unique here, and I can find a way to get some value. So talk to the people about some of the games that you've built for the season and some of the games they can partake as members of Win the Race.
Yeah, thanks. It's one and done are pretty simple rules. The hardest part is the strategy part of it. You pick one driver per race. You can only use that driver one time for the entire season. Your worst score will be dropped. It'll score just using the race points from the race. The highest season total will win. The winner, I'm going to give him $1,000 for winning this contest. It costs nothing to join. It's members only, but it costs nothing to join this contest. We'll send the winner take all. Tiebreaker would be Daytona 500. Tiebreaker 2 Homestead. But you got to think strategy things here because so you don't want to burn a lot of good drivers at places like Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, I'd say quite a few, and from what I'm seeing on X already and some other contests, Cody Ware is going to be extremely popular here. If for some reason he has a bad race and doesn't get any points, and you pick someone else, you can make up a lot of ground week 1 at Daytona.
You also don't want to go Joey Logano and have him have one of his typical Joey Logano races where he's dominant for 95% of the time, but then Brian, were you raising your hand because you're saying you're
yeah. So I actually had a question about this. Is that when is your pick going to lock in for 4 races? Is it going to be
right up there at the lock time? So on the top right, lock right here. It's always locked at the race time. If that ever changes, I think I can change it on the back end. And it has a countdown to lock too. So
awesome.
You'll always know. And when it locks, these literally, I think from my testing, turn to locks. So you can't pick anything. If you miss a pick, you're going to get a 0. That'll be your dropped week. If that's the only, if that ends up being your only low week. And then you'll submit it here. It'll tell you your pick down here and what they scored. And then when you head to standings, looks like we already got some guys here. So I'll work. Oh yeah, I told them already in Discord these are going to change. So it'll show the standings here, and then we're good to go. So one thing I gotta do there is I gotta hide the picks if that's going to show when it's live, but I can do that.
Yeah.
Standings, I actually don't think when the game is live will even show up until it locks. And then it'll show
Until
how
like
many we have
after
in
the
there.
race or till after the race locks.
Like
Once
when
the
it
race,
locks, yeah. I think when this is live, when this locks, then it'll show how many people are in standings. So, but this was like still my testing thing. This isn't even the real field in here right now. But
I
you'll
can
have your
say
lock.
I,
Oh, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say for me, like having this all within the win the race site is so convenient because it's so hard every Sunday for football, for instance, having like 50 friggin' tabs open because you have lineups to set in 5 different websites and you're playing underdog, DraftKings, whatever other things that you're in. Like it's so nice having this all under one umbrella.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Like I'm going to send out a million reminders because I would just hate to see anyone on Win the Race not get in this. You're on the site already. You can win $1,000. You just got to pick the right guys. Anyone can win this. It'll be a lot of fun to track throughout the season. And then we made the draft game. So this is based off our show from Wednesday nights. And this is a little different because you're going to pick 9 drivers every week. And it'll be 1 from each team. So these rosters actually are locked. I don't think I'm going to add anyone else in here because no one's going to pick like Leggy when she races or anything like that. So I think this is probably staying put. The only thing I might do is add Corey LaJoy here in case someone wanted to play him on a drafting track.
Yeah,
That might happen.
maybe for the drafting tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll just kind of leave it stagnant. So I don't need to upload everything every week. Be pretty simple. You'll kind of know what's there when you log in, be ready to see it. But you're going to pick 1 driver from every team. It won't even let you hit submit unless you've made all your picks. The twist here is you're going to get 1.25x the points. You're going to get 25% boost on whoever you pick down here. And it can be anyone from these teams that you haven't selected yet. So if it's one of those weeks where you're like, man, this is a 23-11 week, and like you want to pick Reddick here, but you're like, I think Bubba can win, then you're going to want to go down here and pick Bubba for your bonus driver. And this is going to be big now too, the 1.25. Yep. I made that rule before we knew wins were 55. So like this is now super important if you're going to pick a winner or those guys that score a ton of points in a race, win the stages and win the race. They can score 70 something points now. 76 points or something like that, I think I heard. So this bonus pick, if you pick a dominant winner, that's really going to skyrocket you. And then same thing, you just go to the standings here. When you click this, this would test this too. Okay, yeah, I'll have to fix that part of it. But so then you'll come here. It'll show your team, your points, your bonus, and then it'll show your last week's score right here and keep the total here. So this is gonna be one on here, so I can button some things up here.
Yeah, no, and this is cool too because like you want to think about it. Like I love Kyle Larson this week, so I definitely want to click, and then you click him right away, and then you pick like Byron or somebody, and then Larson ends up being the dominant car, and you're like, man, I could have gotten so many more points. So thinking that thing through is like, even if we both pick Larson and Byron, if you pick the right guy in the bonus, it could be a difference and separate you or give you that little bit at the end where I think it'll help avoid a lot of the tiebreakers and stuff.
Yeah, it's been, just playing against the guys every Wednesday night, it's super frustrating when you get something wrong or when you get it right and it crashes at the end. So yeah, this one will frustrate the heck out of a lot of people, but this one, when you get a week right, you'll be able to shoot right up the leaderboard. So there will be some big swings here, some bad weeks and some really, really good ones. So you can make up a lot of ground with these scores.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to play alongside you guys. Like as we're watching the draft, we can have the app open and be making our picks and being like, oh, Phil and Tino are both on Briscoe, but I don't think he's going to be that good this week. So let me pivot there because they might be the way like to kind of get a good gauge of where like the crowd's going to be, right? So you can kind of find ways to pivot.
We're entering our real teams in here too. That's how we're keeping track of our own scores this year. We're just going to pop them in here, and then we'll be able to pull up our names. So we got a search bar right in here. So it looks like between the two, I thought the other one was for testing, but it looks like the only thing I got to button up is you can't show people's teams on here, but they're all getting reset before the season anyway. So I'll fix that, test that, and make sure it's good. I actually like that they're in here now, so I can test it easily and make sure they disappear. So good to go. I'd say the next thing that we jump to, if it's cool with you guys, would be the simulations, because that's kind of what's going to drive a lot of picks, I think. And so here we're going to simulate every week, every race, every slate for the most part, unless there's some weird sort of O'Reilly or truck turnaround time where we just can't do it. We'll simulate a race 100,000 times and then have all of the input here. And this is all super fast. You know, as soon as you click something, it's going to go to the next market. Head-to-heads are really cool. You can select one driver. It'll show them against the field. Or you can just pick, you know, head-to-head versus one person. So, you know, whatever you're looking to do there. And then, you know, finishing position, over, under. So say they got Alex Bowman. You can look at all lines now, which is kind of nice. Just sort it by finishing position, or if you want to just, man, I'm thinking about his 10.5. You know, if you're playing underdog or something like that, you can look and just kind of see those positionals where we have it as fair. And that's basically it there. All the team bets.
That's super cool, because there's times where I think I have a little bit of a bias in my head of drivers that I tend to like a little bit more, drivers I tend to like a little bit less. And
I think everybody is in that boat.
Yeah, and I'll see a head-to-head and I'll be like, how is that plus money for him? And then I'll go compare it to what Ryan has. It's a great reality check to, when you're making bets, to thinking things through and being like, well, I mean, 7-1, that's a smash. And then you go see true odds are actually 950. So, you know, you can still go in on it and still bet it, obviously, but maybe you think it through, or you like, oh, you know what? I actually like both these guys the same. Win the Race has this guy at a much better value, where this guy is not really a value at his current number, and maybe kind of leans you certain ways or helps you make smarter bets, which I think having the simulations to back up kind of your thought process, I think really gives me a good dose of like kind of just centering and figuring it out.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. I mean, that's exactly what it's for, is just to, you look at the lines, you come in here, you're like, am I crazy or am I on the right track? And these aren't going to be perfect. We're going to be wrong. I mean, it just kind of is, what's NASCAR at the end of the day.
Sure.
But you know, we're always trying to get better. And that's why, so one thing we added here, when we're going to sim this again after practice and qualifying is going to be on this next tab over. I don't have anything loaded right now, but it's going to have, you know, a raw speed. It's going to have a process speed. A process speed, basically, we look at like lap by lap. It's just a deeper dive. But even the raw speed is taking out things that don't make sense. You know, if a guy is going to come out, you know, after 3 laps, change his tires and go back out when the track's fast and run his, like, it just looks at everything like that and tries to give you a better idea of what the speed is. Take out a lot of the noise, and then that will be right next to it'll be on this page with the speed right here in these columns here. So you'll have all the practice data right next to all the simulation data. So again, that's already input in there. So it's not like you want to double up on it, but sometimes it's nice to just have some reassurance.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me just add to that. As somebody who primarily focuses on the Cup Series, I can attest to how accurate Ryan's like post qualifying just data compilation was last year towards the end of the season. I remember Trucks and O'Reilly were like every week it was the first and second guys were up front competing for the race win, and it was literally my go-to to place any lower series wagers.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I've been working on it for years. I mean, that's the thing. It feels good to know it got to this point, and now, you know, people are confident enough to use it and actually spend money, you know, using it and making money using it. It's always good to log in and see, you know, the tickets in Discord. Yeah. So, and then I just know, because if I wasn't making money, there's no way my wife would let me do this. So it's been fine.
Yeah.
and it's only gotten better, and especially the practice data. What we can do with practice now, I'm super confident in it. And again, you're going to miss on some of those too. But again, if the people that have played NASCAR for a long time or tracked it know, sometimes you just whiff on, a guy will show a ton of speed in practice and just be a total dud during the race. So
Yep.
it can happen. You never know just truly what those track conditions are when they're out there.
Yeah,
But
and I think having that kind of balance too, right? Like you can see what it was before practice and what it is after. And if you think that like the reaction to practice because the weather is going to be different or because of whatever, it might be a little bit overcooked. You can figure that out and kind of use it as a reference. Or you could be like, man, this guy looked amazing in practice. I know he's not traditionally amazing here, but I think this is like a big week for him. And then you can go look at the practice data and see that, oh yeah, he was actually supposed to be pretty good in before the pre-qualifying, and then his qualifying was obviously incredible, perfect spot and track position. Now I can fire and be really excited. So I think having that kind of double check too is really, really nice.
yeah, that's part of the reason why we did this tab system here. So you can jump back to the pre when you're looking at the post. A guy that comes to mind would be like Denny,
Mhm.
because a
Yeah.
lot of times Denny just is like mid in practice, or
Yeah.
Briscoe, like guys like that. But if before the week we're all over them, it's not like we're just making that stuff up. That's all from good data.
Yeah.
So if we are there and they just go out and have kind of a ho hum practice, but it's a track we know they should spank at, then maybe you don't back all the way off like that, even if the post practice and qualifying sims aren't totally in love with it. So that's kind of why we wanted this side by side, so you can jump back and forth and get the full picture of what's going on.
Well,
Yeah.
in this data too, it's also a great companion for people that are like me, who like I'll sit down, I'll watch practice, and I take notes. Like I take handwritten notes of guys, and I'm marking down who I think is good. I'm watching the lap times, and then it's great to come back in here and be able to see, like, verify or debunk what I saw with actual data and numbers.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. That's what our business is. It's so tough. Practice is one thing where even in a hectic time, I always try to go back and watch it, or at least go on like PRN or somewhere like that
Yeah.
has like all the driver quotes, so I could just read what they all said about it and try to get some context from that too. But yeah, all great stuff. This will lead you right into. I got the button right on here, so I'll just click it, but it'll lead right to picking your DFS lineups. This is gonna look a little wonky because like it's all, I don't have anything in here for real yet. So like that, I think we were just looking at Daytona sims there, and it's not
Is it
even the real
open? Did it
fields.
open a new tab for you? Because we're still looking at the.
Oh yeah, let's how the button works. I'll just go and click it here.
Yeah. So that way the
So
people can see. There
now
we
we're
go.
now we're looking at, I think, old Phoenix data too. Like even our new one now is a little updated and would have Hamlin as the most owned with how we're running it today. But this will still show us how to use this. So you can use this. This is all our projections, but it's based on, I shouldn't say projections. I guess they are, but it's based on the 100,000 sim results. So they're actually based
Yeah.
on real race results from the 100,000 races that we have. Um, and that's where you get this optimal percentage. Every single time a race ends, it'll come up with the six best, optimal lineup you can underneath the DraftKings salary cap, and it'll do it for. We have FanDuel too, and then O'Reilly trucks. It's all here. So for FanDuel, obviously, it's using those rules, but sorts by optimal percentage here, so you can tell who's showing up optimally in our 100K sims the most, and then it'll also give a cash score here too for those that are grinding, the cash games. And this uses a formula here, which tries to like keep you a little safer for the cash games, less risk, higher floor, but still have those high ceiling
Yeah.
guys. You're gonna need some dominators in cash as well. The guys leading the most laps. So my favorite way to do this. These are actually the projections I used to take down a tournament on DraftKings the last week of the year. It was the first time Greg and I simulated a race 100,000 times. We've never done that much. We were up to 20 or even 50, but now we're doing 100. One thing that I really like about this, and I think that I'll use it the majority of the time, is an anchor system. So what I want to do here, say I want trying to think of the best way to describe this. An anchor is different than a lock because it's not going to lock them into every single lineup, but you're going to get the best lineups of the 100,000 lineups of the guys you're anchoring into the lineup. So say we'll do 50 lineups here, and I wanted, I don't know, 15 of his best. Denny's on the pole, so I'm going to want, 25 of those, and then I'm going to want 10 of somebody else. So let's say Larson, because Larson was our other favorite of the championship drivers in that specific race. So I'm going to lock in those there. Throughout the lineups, I don't want any more than like 50% of any other driver. I don't want any other driver in more than 25 lineups paired with, throughout this whole mix here. So I'm going to click that there. What I can do now is just check my exposures first. So I'll click preview exposures. And this is going to take a second because it's going to follow all these rules and go through 100,000 lineups to pick it for you.
Damn AI computers.
So cool. But it's cool too, because like if there's gonna be a super popular guy, or you want to like go lower weight on somebody who you think is more volatile, you can plan on anchoring him a little bit less, and then get a little more unique that way too.
Yeah. And so here you are. So you can check and just make sure you like where this is at. Like, I already know probably, I forget where he was starting in this race. Where is he? I don't know. He was in a good spot. So I would just look through it, and who I'm not comfortable with, maybe lower them a little bit. So you can go up here and separately use this max exposure column right here. So if you're like,
Ty Gibbs 0.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people are going to be like, Ty Gibbs 46%. No, I want negative 46%. So you're going to go up there and just like completely block him out. You can do that, and now it won't find any lineups with him in there. But that's pretty cool. So now Now I don't know if sharing the screen, if I can. I'll just download these, and then we'll see how it works with the shared screen here.
Let me just say, all these tools in these games, if we could just pop an image or something on here, it would be the Martin Scorsese Absolute Cinema thing. Like, this is incredible. This is blowing this boomer's mind right now. All this stuff.
Well, like when Greg and I created this, we were just texting each other like, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let me see if I can pull this up and share the screen. So what I'll do is top lineups.
Yeah, we've been a fan of Win the Race the last 2 years. The tools have been great, but like the level you guys are taking it to this year is impressive. And like the tweaks and the add-ons to stuff that already worked really well, it's just going to make everybody's life a lot easier.
So why won't it let me share?
You need to share it again.
If for some reason Excel's not coming up on there where I have the lineups.
Yeah.
It's probably because like you're sharing your screen window instead of
probably
screen.
doesn't. It probably, unless you shared like your whole screen, it won't
Yeah.
show like.
So, that's okay. I can do that.
Yeah, or you could open it in like Drive or something if you want to just do like Google Sheets.
Can you pop that on the screen? Okay.
There it is. We're good.
All right, we're good. So here, what we have are the actual lineups. Now, this is just one of the. You can't copy and paste this on the DraftKings. It's just not in the right format. But there's 3 downloads you're going to get. One download is going to be the exposures that I already showed you, just so then you can double check it and make sure it actually printed the right ones for you. This here is going to show you how often each lineup was optimal. Now, what's cool about the anchor system and why I like using it is because now I have their specific anchors here using it. So like these lineups right here, and you can tell when it changes because you get to this line and then it starts over. And now this one's shown up 42 times.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it's going to get down to Larson's. I'm guessing would be the last one here because I had the least amount of him. And it shows how many times those lineups were optimal. It also shows you the average score of that lineup when it was optimal. And then if there's ever a tie, it, will keep the top score on top. So it always takes like the smartest lineup. So if they all showed up 50 times each, you're going to get the 50 best lineups of the ones that all tied 50 times. Yeah. So it's always picking a smart way, not some sort of greedy way there. But this is just kind of reassurance to know that like everything worked. It picked your best lineups for your guys. It doesn't necessarily mean those other guys aren't with him. Like you can have a Byron with a Hamlin, like right
Yeah.
here. They can still be paired together, and that's the cool part about it is you can still have multi-dom lineups naturally. Ones that actually were optimal when we simulated the race.
Yeah.
So when we get to Daytona, I'll just close this. I'll try to get back to hold on, let me stop sharing real quick and I'll get back to the regular share screen. Sorry, guys.
You're good. Super
All right,
helpful.
we
And
put
you can
that one.
pull your I only want to play 5 lineups this week. So I'm gonna play my 3 favorite Chris Bell lineups, my 2 favorite Will Byron lineups, and just call it a day. You can find the most optimal
Yeah.
ones.
When I
And
won, it was like a secondary tournament, so I could only make 17. So I made 17 lineups, and I did it with 4 anchors. Actually, I used all 4 championship guys. I wanted to have the most Hamlin, second most Byron, third most Larson, and just sprinkles of Briscoe, just so I didn't completely not have Briscoe.
yeah.
And then one of the Hamlin ones won, so it was cool. So can you put that back up on the
Oh, yeah.
screen real quick? So now, like, we get to Daytona. What you're going to want to do at Daytona is just completely freaking different than this, and it's gonna look way different because none of these guys that are starting at the top here are going to be optimal that much at all. I just
Right.
know how our simulations are going to work. So now you're going to want to like probably sort it, get to these guys that are in the back, use your anchor system. If you like me, that's the one I like the most. And it's like, man, I don't know, and no one knows who's going to be good in the back here. So maybe I just take 20 anchors, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. They can all be played together anyways. It's going to take their 20 best lineups, and you're getting these guys at the back that can end up finishing up front and scoring a ton at low ownership. So that's just another thing, I like to look at here. And for Daytona is going to be way different than what we just talked about.
If you were to put multiple anchors, say somebody was building one lineup, would that then only allow you to put one anchor for that lineup? Or if you put 2, would it then try to look for the most optimal lineup with those 2 people?
That's a good question because you wouldn't use anchor then. You would just lock both guys.
Yeah, you just do a lock? Okay.
Yeah, you would just lock them.
But you
And
could
then it
feel
doesn't have
really
to be one. It can be
confident.
however many you want.
Yeah,
What?
you could feel really confident in 2 different guys and look for their best lineups. And if one guy's best lineup is head and shoulders above
true.
another one, and you're only gonna play that one lineup, just play the one. And if sure is ultimately you want to maybe you find a lineup where they're both in it, and then you can find that best option. But if you're losing 10, 15 points a projection, or you're taking on so much more ownership, it might not be worth the difference. So you might be like, hey, I know I wanted to play both Byron and Larson this week, but given where they're starting, given their salaries, I'd rather just play this one Larson lineup that projects so much better and build and make that my lineup, and then go from there.
Yeah, and that's why we do that top lineups printout that I showed you, so you can see like, hey, I'm between these 2 lineups of these 2 anchor groups, but one was optimal 100 times and the other was
Yeah.
optimal twice. So you're like, yeah, that one's probably not going to hit, but yeah, and it's cool. You can make up to 150 on here, so you can 150 max, whatever you'd like. And then again, it's simple. Like that's why I put the exposures thing here, because if you don't like how it's coming out, don't waste the time downloading it. Play around with it and just hit preview until you get kind of what you're looking for. Then you're downloading it really just to enter it in there, and that's it. So you can do kind of everything you need to do right here. Make sure everyone's where you want it to be, and then go from there.
Ryan and I will be using these tools all season long. Very excited to dive in each and every week. And like I said, this is going to save us not only headaches and time, but hopefully a few dollars in the process. So very, very
the
excited.
amount of time that was wasted waiting for driver averages to come up on the computer,
the advertisements and the spinning.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, I think Race Sheets Phil from Race Sheets said that one time. He like tweeted out, he's just like, oh, let me guess, that one site isn't working again, and it was like Sunday morning, and you just know, it crashes every Sunday.
Yeah.
So I would say there's no need for that anymore, unless you want to go back and look at super old stats, or they do have like stage wins on there, which is pretty cool. But
I think I think you funneling it down just to the next gen should have been done by other people in the past, just because nothing prior to this generation vehicle matters anymore. The cars are so much different. I guess just the rosters and the field is completely different too. So it's like, so what? Denny Hamlin was great at Daytona back in freaking 2010. Like that doesn't matter.
And that's why I like having it, a lot of times I'm only looking at 24 and 25 because exactly what you're saying. But like that's why I also like just having the one click of a button where you're like, I want to see this guy's total averages. And this is a shout out to Phil too, because Phil texted me and asked if we could do this. And I said, yeah. I was like, at first I was like, you shouldn't want to do that. I fought back a little bit. I was like, you shouldn't want a guy's just total averages. You should always want to split. And he's like, well, what about, and gave a couple good examples. I was like, okay, got to do it. And shout out to him. Putting that button in there was awesome. I use it. I flip back and forth. So that's why I love getting feedback on all this stuff. It's him and Tino pushed back on that and was like, no, you need that in there for the research. And then I put it in there and was like, okay, you guys were right.
Yeah. And it's nice.
Phil, by the way, wait till you see the ring. If you didn't see the tweet yet, wait till you see the ring.
I saw his tweet. That thing's massive.
Yeah, championship ring. My ass. I'm coming for that thing this year.
Yeah. And I like it too, because like for like Daniel Suarez, for example, it's going to be nice to be able to look at, okay, how is Suarez at these tracks? How has Spire been at these tracks? And then kind of merging those numbers as I'm thinking, as drivers are switching teams. And I feel like it's more of a natural thing these days to be able to look at both two things and be able to compare and figure out, okay, he's typically good here. This team's typically good here. There might be an opportunity, or no matter as good as he can be, if Spire typically stinks here and they always miss the setup, going in on him for his past results at a team where maybe they were awesome at those type of tracks, you can kind of get that noise too.
And that's why while you were talking, I just kind of pulled it up. Like you can do it by team. So team, Spire Motorsports. And so like, oh, what if you're looking at maybe like some short flat tracks, New Hampshire, Phoenix, Richmond, boom, you can see how they are. You can sort it by car, see how the 7 did, see how the 71 did, see how the 77 did, all that. So kind of cool. Just,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I just always am playing around with this thing. It's weird.
I have a feeling
it's
going to be like Wednesday, and I should be like definitely going to bed, but I'm like looking up more things, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's going to be the case, and I'm going to be so excited.
As someone that spends an absurd amount of time just looking at odds, not even like placing bets, I'm like just pulling up books like hourly to see if the line has moved or something of that, and looking at data. I'm going to be on this quite often.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm pumped for this year. We got the free stuff too. I can pull that up real quick, like track comparison tool. This is something I built that's really cool.
This might be my favorite tool on the site, because it like I love Ryan at iFantasy Race, and he does a great job over there. But again, having this just under one umbrella is so convenient.
Yeah, that's kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like I want to just build what I wanted my whole life, like just the one-stop shop to have everything done in one place. And now you can you can click drafting. You can sort by any of these things you want. Who's like what tracks are in the new 750 package this year? Intermediate tracks. If you want into like high banked intermediates, it'll sort by that. There's cards up here you can click instead of the table to just give like a little more description about the tracks individually. But the coolest part about this is no matter what you're doing, like, oh, what is similar to Daytona? Well, Talladega is, Echo Park's kind of similar, and then nothing. So it all color codes it, and you can look at it easily. We got Bowman Gray coming up. What's similar to it? There's nothing in the green. These are okay, but they're not in the green, as we say.
Well, and that's, I think, super useful too, because you might see like, oh, Richmond is actually like sort of similar, and then you can see kind of it's actually a lot closer to whatever track I'm comparing it to than maybe I thought, and I can give it a little more credibility or a little stronger correlation, where other ones I'm like, I feel like these two are pretty similar, and then actually they're not super duper similar. I need to downgrade how much I'm using this other track. So I think
please click on the naval base Coronado. I got to see that. I didn't click on that one. Okay.
3 roads and nothing.
No.
So Coda is the closest.
But again, it's just a road. They're all so different that they're all going to be close.
Yeah.
Mm,
And it's based on a lot of this. Like it's basically a score. It's weighted, and it's, in my opinion, smartly weighted based on these things up here. All the things you see: the track type, the package, the surface, the speed tier. So speed tier is important. I think, and tire wear very important. All that stuff is what I think is properly weighted in order to get these as close as you can. Always
yeah.
going to be debates on it, as we all know.
Yeah.
But like, it tends to track, just giving it the eye test, looking through the different tracks here. Nashville to Iowa, I thought was interesting. Michigan, Texas, Kansas,
Yeah.
Martinsville, Shorts.
God, that's so weird. I just saw Chicagoland pop up on there, and like that's where this tool is going to come in handy, is that we're going to Chicagoland, a track that wasn't around when I watched, like since I've watched. So it's going to be imperative for me to be looking at this stuff.
Yeah, we're looking at what it compares to here, and it seems like it's the higher banked intermediates with some higher tire wear. So, um, that should be a lot of fun. If
Yeah.
that's all true, it is going to be awesome. So
Well, and I think
I
it's
really hope so.
critical too, because we're going to be going to new tracks. We're going to tracks we haven't been to in a long time. We're going to be going no more Charlotte Roval. We're going to the Oval. Being able to actually not maybe we haven't been there in the new body style, we haven't been there in the new horsepower, but being able to compare it to a Vegas or to a whatever, knowing okay, well, this is kind of what I should expect, and being able to make decisions based on that, I think is going to be super
Yeah.
helpful as well.
Yeah, I noticed just clicking around now, I noticed like Bowman Gray is, I think, the only one that's like less similar to everything than like Darlington. Darlington's not really
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
competent to much at all here. Yeah, Darlington's unique according to everything it's waiting out here. But just another cool tool that's free, and then we got the power ranking tools, but those don't really need to be talked about here. And then we talked about DFS, so I'll throw these up, but I made like some avatars today you can put for if you want to rep
sick.
your favorite driver this year. And then I
That's
made
gas.
a ton of alternates too.
Nice.
The Busher alternate's pretty sweet.
Is that the
Well, you're not
Build
gonna be able to see
Submarines
it.
colors?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me share my screen again.
And if we can put in requests,
Yeah, that one.
I get like a Cinedust one.
Yeah, anyone. That's why I said in Discord. If anyone has any themes or like paint schemes, or anything like that that you want me to do, I can do it.
Yeah, I
And
think as cool
yeah.
stuff happens, I think doing like the Labonte Kyle Larson one with like the Tony the Tiger logo.
Oh, I already started that a little bit. Yeah, I didn't like how it came out yet. I have an idea for it though that I'm gonna try. So I'm on that one.
Yeah, I love
They
that.
can do away with Darlington throwbacks, but they can't stop us from rocking that logo.
No.
Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you hopping on and showing off all the cool tools. You do need to get in with us this season because Brian and I will be in there all season long, talking in the Discord, using all those tools, leaning heavily on them as we build our card throughout the week, as well as building lineups Saturday night and into Sunday morning and getting everything ready. I guess before we get out of here, do you have any like strong takes? Anybody you see taking a big leap, or like, do you think Chase Briscoe, what we saw last year, is real, and maybe he takes a little bit of a step back? Like, is there anything kind of tickling the back of your brain as we head towards Bowman Gray and Daytona in the next 10 to 15 days?
I love Briscoe. I think he's going to be great. It's just such a strong ending to the year. Speed everywhere, consistency, all those top fives. They have 15 top fives. Just him, Larson, and Hamlin, I think, had the 15 top fives, if I'm thinking of that correctly.
Yeah.
So he's up there with the guy who should have won the championship and the guy who did.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be there at the end. In my bold ranks that I did, I had him number one. So I really like Briscoe. And then when the race, people know this, and I think Eric Estep does too, because I always mention it on his show every single week. But I love Carson Hocevar. I think he's going to be very strong. And there's this big push to try and get me to move Ross Chastain up into the top 10 in my ranks, but I I don't know, man. I kind of want to move Carson Hocevar up. He's like, I think I have Ross 15 and Carson 16, but I just think Hocevar is going to be fast again. And the top tens he has, I'm going to talk about this a lot on Eric's show Wednesday. I prepped it earlier, but he's got top tens at just all different track types. And that doesn't even count all the races he was fast and something bad happened to him. So like, there's not one specific place where he's dominant. It's just that he brings speed everywhere. And eventually I think it's going to happen. He's got a couple second place finishes. He's been close. I forget what happened. Was it Indy Oval last year? Did he run out of gas? I think a couple of them did. But he was out front for a while, I thought.
No, wasn't that Michigan?
Oh, that was maybe Michigan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He's had a couple of those, bigger tracks. Texas he led. Or Texas, I think he went out and poled it. Then he got past pretty quick, though, I think. But that was a pit thing, too, where he shouldn't have pit, if you remember that race.
To your Chastain point, like Brian and I, we've been talking, like, kind of have concerns about where he sits among that team. And, like, obviously, if everything clicks and he gets what he needs, he could be in that top 5 discussion. We've seen him be a playoff driver. We've seen him win at Phoenix in a championship race where he wasn't in the playoffs and didn't get that little bit of a boost. But like where that team's going, what they're doing with Connor, obviously SVG for road courses, like there's a world where he's just kind of, I don't want to say phased out, but like clearly the third option, clearly not getting as much attention. And ultimately, like, would it shock you if in 2 years he's like at another team? I don't think so.
No, I think he's got the widest range of outcomes because I'm not really, if this move to get McSwain, helps, from Byron's team and he finds some consistent speed, where he can actually show up to the track fast and be fast all race. That's another thing I'm going to talk about this week too, is that it's really weird how when he qualifies top 10, he doesn't finish there. And then when he doesn't qualify top 10, he finds his way there by the end of the race. So it's like, to me, that means like he's got such a wide range of outcomes, because what if with some help here, he could be fast unloading and have race speed and just stay up there all day and be great. Or he doesn't qualify top 10, and he also doesn't have some certain things go his way where he can get those top 10 finishes, and he just finishes where he's running most of the day, 14th, 15th, or whatever it is. Yeah. So then it looks a lot different. So I think he's like, if he was 5th, I'm not too surprised. And if he's 15th, I'm not too surprised. I think he's just kind of there. Like he will probably make the chase. Even if he missed the chase, a couple of these guys stepping up, I'm not that surprised. What if Zilich is just a banger right off the bat? What if his car is faster than Ross's every week? Yeah. I don't know. Or he's just better, because he probably is just better at it. Yeah. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think him and Hocevar is an interesting just general discussion, because I think both of those guys, if you told me you saw them as like top 5 guys by the end of the season, I don't know that I would agree, but I don't know that I would argue super hard. And you could also tell me that things just go poorly for them and they're closer to that 15 to 20 range than they are to that top 5 range, and we could put them there too. And I wouldn't fight you on that. So I think that's kind of a cool way to think through that.
I think
with host. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just going to say, you mentioning Hocevar and then, parlaying that into Chastain. To me, Carson Hocevar is Ross Chastain 2022 or 2023, whenever Ross came in before he essentially had his manhood clipped by Rick Hendrick, where he's going to be fast.
It's the Melon Man versus the Mellow Man. The Melon Man was great. The Mellow Man is not so much
exactly
fun.
Yeah, and like Hocevar right now, he's just going out there all piss and vinegar. Like he has no chill, as the kids would say. And if he can kind of rein some of that back a little bit and work on maybe his like race craft in terms of the strategy, as opposed to just pedal to the metal the entire time, as you said, like he's a guy that would not surprise me if he jumped into the top 10 in the standings.
Yeah. Or like, Kyle was saying Ross, like not surprised if he's on a different team. Like I would think for Ross, that's probably going to be a step down. Where I wouldn't be surprised if Carson is on a different team in a few years and it's a step up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where I kind of think he's projected. So
Yeah.
I think this year could go a long way to his future.
And
Where he ends
Carson
up.
Hocevar is still winning a race before Ty Gibbs. I said this last year, and actually I said it at the end of 2024, and I stood by it last year, and I'm saying it once again.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs, another one I got to defend on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, he's good. He's fool's gold to me multiple times this season. So
Yeah, can't bet him, that's for sure.
If you're watching this before Wednesday, make sure you tune into the draft live. It's another fun place to be, talking NASCAR. The chat, it's usually popping. Lots of questions, lots of talking. Really, really fun in there. And if you're watching this after Wednesday, make sure you are subscribed to the Win the Race YouTube channel. I will drop a link in the bio or in the description to this video as well. But subscribe, join us every single Wednesday. And if you miss a one live, come watch it after the fact, because it is a fun conversation. It is cool to see where a few different people are coming from, and if you're playing the games over on Win the Race, it's a good way to kind of get that ball rolling in your head and make some decisions. Or if you're playing other season-long contests, it's a great conversation and some really, really good stuff from not only Ryan but Phil, who was with us last week, and Tino Patino, who I guess we'll have to get on and finish the trifecta, Brian.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We can contact him shortly.
Tino's always down, man. He'd love it.
Dude, dude is a content factory. He's just everywhere all the time talking, and I love it. And he's the same person live too. If you meet him in real life, he's exactly
he came
the
up
same
to
person.
those guys came up. I got to meet them both for the first time for Richmond. They stayed at my house and we watched Richmond. So got to see Austin Dillon win, which we weren't expecting to have happen again, but it was fun. It was a fun time. Those guys are great.
Yeah.
That was a nice 50-1 ticket right there.
Yeah.
Here, Brian bragging in the Discord already. Go sign up for Win the Race. Get in the Discord. Get the conversation going. Play the games. Subscribe to the Win the Race YouTube. Use the free tools if you're not going to subscribe. But I highly recommend getting in. You will not regret it. You will have a lot of fun and get some good information. Follow Ryan on the X Machine, on YouTube, on all that good stuff. I'll link it all below. Hopefully we can regroup at some point. I know your schedule is crazy. I know our schedule is crazy, but it'd be fun to catch up as the season rolls along. But for Brian Twining, for Ryan Stevens, I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to y'all next time.